Hi, and welcome back to I'm a Happy Enchilada, and thanks for tuning us in. I'm Don Culver, and I'll be your host. Now, today we take on the most difficult and most disturbing topic we have ever tackled. It's how does childhood trauma affect your adult life? In this episode, we look at all the traumas that children may suffer and how they may manifest in the child's adult life later on. Now, I want to warn you that this info is pretty hardcore, and if you were a victim of childhood abuse, you may find it very upsetting. So, proceed with caution. Thank you. So, for any of you who may have untreated childhood traumas in your life today, let me answer the question that might be your first and most important question, and that is it possible to heal from childhood trauma? Well, the answer is yes. It's possible to heal from childhood trauma, but it's a complex process that requires hard work and support. Childhood trauma can have long-lasting effects on a person's feelings and behaviors as an adult. However, with proper support, many people can recover and adapt to these experiences. So now, let's start by asking some questions. First, how does a person heal from childhood trauma as an adult? Well, by seeking therapy, practicing self-care, developing a support system, and considering medication are all effective ways to treat childhood trauma in adults. If you or someone you know is struggling with childhood trauma, we encourage you to seek help. Next, how does childhood trauma affect behaviors in adults? For starters, one of the largest impacts adult functioning after surviving chronic childhood trauma includes feelings of anxiety and depression. Existing research finds that adults with histories of childhood trauma are at an increased risk of developing fibromyalgia. Wow. And what does childhood trauma look like in adults? Common PTSD symptoms include repeated distressing memories of the abuse, making you re-experience the trauma, disturbing flashbacks where you feel like the trauma is occurring right now, and feeling emotionally and or physically distressed when you're triggered by something that reminds you of your trauma. Unhealed childhood wounds can manifest themselves in a variety of ways, including feelings of fear, low self-esteem, insecurity, PTSD, and difficulty forming trusting relationships. And the following traits are linked to childhood adversity. Neuroticism. A difficult childhood places a person at risk of experiencing a high degree of negative emotions, anger and aggression, low agreeableness, external success orientation, and low engagement. Now, childhood abuse reverberates through one's entire life. It affects how they form and handle relationships, especially intimate relationships, and how they do with stress. It can cause irritability and affects their moods, which in turn causes problems in marriages and at work. In addition, people who experience numerous adverse childhood experiences early in childhood are at risk of developing behavioral disorders and detrimental health behaviors. Next, let's look at several different types of childhood traumas, shall we? They are natural disasters, terrorism, and community school violence, witnessing or experiencing intimate partner violence, commercial sexual exploitation, serious accidents, life-threatening illness, or sudden or violent loss of a loved one. And unfortunately, that's only part of the list. Here's the rest. Physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, emotional and physical neglect, living with a family member with mental health or substance use disorders, sudden separation from a loved one, poverty, racism, and discrimination? And next, how do you recognize if childhood trauma is affecting you? You are experiencing, reliving the event, having flashbacks or nightmares. There's avoidance, anxiety, depression, anger, problems with trust, self-destructive or risky behaviors, and withdrawal. Look, I could go on indefinitely on this topic. There is a massive amount of information on childhood trauma online. I would suggest that you Google it, especially if you know or are thinking you might be a victim of childhood trauma. There's no easy way to recover from it. You will need professional help to guide you through the process of healing successfully. And I hope you choose to face it and begin your healing soon. Well, that's all I've got. So until next time, God bless and be a happy enchilada. Bye.